Hi everyone, my name is Fiona Boulton and it is my pleasure today to introduce you to Mrs. Charlotte Gough. And Charlotte has an amazing story where she literally overcame incredible amounts of obstacles to have her beautiful pregnancy come to life. She overcame incredible amounts of emotional turmoil, and I want Charlotte, really thank you so much for sharing this. I would love for you to let everyone know how you overcame your emotions and all the little things that you did to make this happen. Like, it's really coming down to a sense of belief, and you're willing to put the work in, but you are also focused on joy the whole time. And that's what I'd love for you to share with everyone watching today.
Brilliant. So yeah, thank you for all your help, because I've known you for a long time now. So I'm 33, 34 in November, and it wasn't until I was about 31 that my periods were regular. So I'd literally gone the whole of my life like having really severe polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that's what you helped me with first. And we got pregnant via IVF, and that was, because I'm very holistic, I was really resistant to it in the beginning, but because of it was actually more the situation of my husband in the end. Even though he's had kids before that, we visited 3 sets of IVF clinics, and they all said the same thing, that I was healthy. Like, one doctor said, there's no sign of polycystic ovaries on your blood tests or your scans anymore, but they had said that IVF was the way forward. So that was actually quite a big hurdle for me to get over, that actually we might have to take a different route. But now looking back on it, I'm actually really grateful for going what we went through, because obviously, because my husband's had kids before, like, one of the things lots of stepmoms complain about is not having any firsts with your husband. It's like he's done everything before, but he hadn't had IVF before, and obviously it's not a great thing to go through, but it did bring us closer, and it's a different way of making children. So actually, from the stepmoms I speak to, fertility issues are like really, really common. It's something that a lot of stepmoms have to go through. And what I found, that if we can try and look at it in a different way, that actually it's a blessing in a way. Like, I'm actually really grateful we went through IVF. Like, it's brought us close together. I've been able to heal myself, like mentally, physically, emotionally, and just grown so much stronger. I feel that it's changed me as a person in a good way. And you hear so many horror stories about IVF, and I didn't have that experience. And I feel that actually, because I went into it with a really positive mind, and I knew that I'd done a lot of work on myself before, I was emotionally and physically equipped to deal with it. And I went for mild IVF. So we went to like a natural fertility clinic, and they recommended mild IVF. So it's smaller doses. You don't get as many eggs, but everything is higher quality. So yeah, I'm sitting here now, and I do feel like really grateful, but I feel actually it was really intentional. Like, a lot of people don't, get pregnant on the first time. And, even my mum would be saying things like, well, it might not happen first time. And because some people, it takes like 5 or 6 rounds. I actually read, it was in the news yesterday, about a singer who got pregnant, who's now pregnant on her 6th round of IVF. And I just said to my husband, we're so lucky that it happened first time. But like I said before, it was intentional. I didn't want to go through it again. We have got another embryo left for a second child, but I knew that our thoughts create our reality, and wherever I put my energy and emotion is what's going to manifest. And I decided that I wanted it to work first time. One thing I learned, lots of things I learned from you, was to trust and surrender. Like, I wasn't needy throughout the whole thing. I just trusted my body. I decided, that I want it to work this first time, but if it doesn't, I wasn't going to be upset or angry about it. I just kind of decided to just go with the flow, and I just kept surrendering the whole time. Because one of the problems that I can have is I can be a little bit more in my masculine, so a bit more like controlling and wanting things to happen. But I really just try to let go, meditate. I was meditating like 3 times a day. I've taught yoga for the past 5 years, and I've always done a bit more of a sort of strenuous form of yoga, but I actually, even that, really, I did like the ki yoga or the qigong, just really like restorative stuff. So I just really sort of was in my feminine, as you'd said, as you've recommended.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's natural for you as a professional businesswoman. You know, you're used to striving hard, you work hard, you get what you want. And it was like, okay, that's okay for your business, but let's focus differently on fertility. And I just want to really reiterate to people that you said how you were going with the flow, but at the same time, we did some work together on a regular basis to really help you project positively into the future and to step into the knowing that you could make this happen first time round, because you were very resistant with IVF initially, and then we overcame that boundary. Yeah, massively, because you're so natural and holistic, so there was such a barrier. And then it's got to work, Fiona. We've got to make it work first time. I'm never going to do this again. And so then we were working together to help you to really soften and surrender and step into the knowing and make it happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I love the techniques that you share. Like, you know, it's part of also the fertility mind mastery, where you're scripting, the fertility scripting method, and you were doing that on a daily basis in your journal, writing it as if you had already achieved it. So it helps to anchor into the subconscious. And I'd love you to share a little bit more of your journey, because I've got other people who want to be like you. They are nervous about IVF or resistant with IVF, or just want it to happen once. I don't want to do multiple rounds of IVF, or they just want it to be their last round of IVF and they want it to work. So what was the emotional stuff that was helping you to surrender? What was that transition?
Yeah. Well, it was the third IVF clinic that we visited that I liked. So the first two, I remember I just got a really bad feeling about it. And I think one of the doctors actually made me cry. And looking back, and they're actually the most sort of popular and expensive IVF clinic around where I live. And it didn't work. So I think you've got to really trust your intuition. I remember, like, as soon as I went to this other clinic, it was up in Birmingham actually, so a little bit further away, but I was happier to go that far. They were just so nice. The doctors I actually thought some of the doctors were some of the nicest people I'd met. So I think that's really important, to be happy with the clinic, and not necessarily the one that, you know, is the most expensive or the most famous or the most popular. It's where you feel right. Like, my dad was really worried about me doing like a natural IVF, because he's like, no, you need the ones with all the drugs, you'll get a better result. And I just said, no, that's just really not right for me. And he even said afterwards, you listened to your gut, and you followed what was right for you, and it worked. So I think I really, I meditated a lot, and I just trusted my heart and my intuition, which was the right clinic for me. And I tried to enjoy the process. So the meditations, the IVF meditations in your online course, where you're injecting yourself with like the golden serum, myself, and making myself pregnant. So I was saying to myself, like, this is how I get pregnant, this is how I'm making my baby. And so it was almost like that was a process for me to make a baby. You know, other people, it might happen another way, but that was my process. And it was almost like I enjoyed it. I tried to actually just enjoy the process. And I know that sounds bizarre, but I actually just felt grateful the whole time that we were doing it. Because, you know, some clinics maybe, because it was over the coronavirus situation, some clinics maybe hadn't opened up yet. Ours opened up quite soon, and we were lucky that they could fit us in. So I just really try to enjoy it and be grateful, and rest as well. I found that I was so tired, and I slept a lot. And, you know, I'm someone that doesn't like to feel like lazy. I like to feel productive, etc. So that was something that was quite challenging for me. And now I'm pregnant, I'm finding that as well, that I'm so tired. But again, I'm just like taking it almost like it's my responsibility now, you know, to look after my baby and look after myself. And if I need to sleep, then that's what I've got to do. So that's important as well. And you know, put yourself first. Like, obviously, me being a stepmom, you know, a lot of the time you do sacrifice and you don't always put yourself first. And yeah, and if anyone is a stepmom that's listening, it can be a role where you do sometimes feel that, you know, you're sacrificing. And I just didn't do that at all over the IVF period. Like, me and my husband, my stepkids went in the weekend. I think I just put the embryo in. They went and stayed with their nan for the weekend, and she knew obviously what they were going through, and they were completely fine with it. And it was time of their nan. But I said to my husband, you know, this is such an important time. I just need like peace and quiet. Like, I didn't it's like see my parents or friends or anything like that for literally the whole 2 weeks. I just really tried to look after myself and nurtured myself and slept and ate well and meditated. And almost, I think you said this, I can't remember how you said it, but fertility and the IVF takes up so much of your energy that if you're giving your energy away elsewhere, you don't have that energy for your body to do what it needs to do. So I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm just going to shut myself off from everything, so I've got all the energy I need to make this work. And it did. So yeah, I think that's I read on an IVF forum that, you know, it was a woman, and the first 2 times she'd carried on going to work and hadn't worked, and then the third time she just decided to sort of take as much time off as she could, and it took and then it worked that time for her. So I just see that as a sign that if you can, you're not being selfish, because in the end, you know, it's the best result is that, you know, it takes the least amount of time and least stress and least money for everyone involved. And if you need to shut yourself off for 2 weeks when you put the embryo in, that's completely fine.
Exactly. The thing is,
yeah,
though, I was just going to say, it takes a level of self-love and self-worth to do that, you know, and so it's important. You're not, like you say, it's not being selfish. It's just that you love yourself enough so you can do this. And we had this discussion too when you were, you know, trying to be everything for everybody. And I'm like, Charlotte, hang on, can we just focus on you? This is your number one goal. I wasn't saying, you know, shut people out. It's just, what's your number one focus? And it's okay to stand up for yourself and put yourself first. And like you say, you know, now you've got this beautiful baby, and it's going to save everyone time and money and hassle. And so it is for the betterment of everyone. And I love the fact that you were surrendering. I love the fact that you were listening to your intuition. I love the fact that you're applying everything that I was teaching and really taking it on board. And it's not like it was hard stuff. It's stuff that's very empowering, and it's made you more successful with your business and more successful in your relationship. And you've got such a beautiful connection. And like you say, you know, a lot of people find this IVF situation incredibly stressful, and it puts strain on their relationship. But for you guys, you're even closer together. And that's what we want. Like, life doesn't have to be hard. Life can be beautiful. It's just understanding what can make life easier and what can therefore help me to be abundant. And when you're abundant in all forms: fertility, business, financial, everything. And it just grows that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think what was really important for me is that I just was so grateful for doing it, you know, because for maybe financial reasons or other reasons, like some people, they don't have the option to do IVF. So I just was so grateful the whole time that I was doing that. And, you know, I completely let go of the idea that it was not the right way to make a baby. Some souls do like to be born via IVF, and, you know, and I was thinking about it last night, you know, babies come to you in all different ways, whether it's like stepmom or, you know, natural or surrogate or adoptive or foster. And it actually makes sense that, you know, some babies, that's just the way they're going to come to you, is via IVF, and it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all, no. And that's the thing, you know, there is no bad, there's no right or wrong. It's just a level of truth, and that spectrum of truth. And this fertility journey, you're well researched, you're well read, you delve into the understanding of spirit babies, and also yes, you were grateful all the time, but as with everything, you know, with this COVID situation, finances are up in the air for everyone, and everyone's under financial stress and worry, and you focused on abundance and gratitude as opposed to getting caught up with what if it doesn't work. And it's like, we're not going down that direction.
That money. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it, exactly. I think as well, because that, you know, that for me was, you know, my husband's recently set up a business, so, you know, it wasn't probably, you know, there's a lot of money to spend on it, but it worked. And so I really just tried to, like you say, I wasn't in a lack mindset. I was just grateful and abundant and just happy and joyful. And something as well that helped me, which you taught, was just to be happy now, you know, like be happy regardless of whether it does or doesn't work. Be happy just being myself. And as well, like feeling like I'm a mum now. And that's what I did. As soon as I started the process, I just decided, right, I'm a mum. And that's it. Yeah.
Because you've always had that inner knowing anyway. And that's what I love. All my clients that are successful, you start with that inner knowing. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know in your heart of hearts, you are going to be a mum to, you know, for you, multiple children. You've got it in you, you know it. And it was just that the first hurdle's often the hardest. You know, I do find that women that find the first child difficult to come along, the second and third just come so easily, but it's the first that can be the hardest. So you're over that hurdle now. And I love the fact that you were never focusing on the reality of what is, but you were focusing on the reality that you wanted and you expected it to happen, and it happened.
Yeah, definitely. There was always, you know, it was in the beginning, ages ago, I'd be like, am I going to be a mum? All these thoughts would go through my head, but like towards the sort of last couple of months before the IVF, it was, I know I'm going to be a mum. I deserved to be a mum. And I think that's something that probably lots of women feels, but I think sometimes as a stepmom it might be heightened, like do I deserve to be a mum myself? You know, I've got stepchildren already. Is that just, am I supposed to be just a stepmom? And that was a hurdle for me to get over as well. That was, you know, I've got stepchildren, but I also deserve to be a biological mum if that's what I want.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I had to really feel worthy.
Exactly. It's about self-worth and self-love. And now your child is going to have self-worth and self-love because you do. And that's what's important for everyone to master. All these little things that come up prior to baby coming, it's like now you have mastered that. Your child is 50% you, and all these new gifts and skills and talents and attributes that you now have.
Yeah, and I remember, because you spoke about lots of the souls that come through to your clients are like rainbow warrior children, is that right? Yeah, rainbow warrior children. I was doing some research into them and their personality, and it says that, you know, parents of rainbow warrior children need to have patience, because they can, you know, be quite excitable, etc., or energetic, or just have this like big love for life. And that was so true, because I just felt that I've been so patient with, even with you know, I had the my egg retrieval, but then they didn't put a fresh transfer. They said for me it was better to have a frozen transfer. So from start to finish, the whole process for one round was 2.5 months. So it was again, I was just being patient, and I could see that lesson just kept coming up again and again for me. It was just be patient and it will happen.
And it did.
Yeah.
So Charlotte, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really, really grateful that you could share. And yeah, I will be in touch with you shortly.
Brilliant. Thank you for your help.
You're so welcome, beautiful woman. You take care.